don't have them. So for anybody that is going to college, that's a valid question to ask any admissions officer, any college professor that you're talking to. What are the opportunities here, and what is the process to create more? Because obviously every single person in this room is as hungry as possible to do as much as you possibly can.
To add on to that, I was just saying, it also allowed people, if they did not, like if they fell short in a class, they failed once or twice, or somebody actually left to pursue being a Knicks dancer. It was a great opportunity. They didn't want you to feel like you were going to lose out on getting your degree or obtaining your degree, so they would actually tool an entire degree around that for you. So that was a really great thing, so it is really important to ask if that's possible.
Kimberly, you're about to say something?
I just was going to say, I just was going to say, in regards to what Chris said, student-run groups are a great way to gain experience, and in a independent, autonomous kind of way. But ask if they have funding for that. You know, because some schools do; they have a lot, and others not so much.
You know, I think a lot of us, especially at high school, junior, and senior level, probably have an image of what college life is going to be. This is what's going to this is going to be my life in college, and I'll be doing these things and things. And then when we get there, it's like, wait a second, I have to work? Like, what is this? 70, 80 hours a week in classroom and stuff like that. What were, in terms of the misconceptions that you had about college in general, or the programs that you got into, what were some of them that surprised you, I guess you could say? Start with Kimberly.
I mean, I had worked from the time I was a kid, and so I thought I could work while I was in school, and it's very hard. And when I say it's very hard, I don't mean parents. It's a challenge, and your kid should overcome it and just battle the challenge. It's not setting them up for success if they have to work during the semester if they're in a BFA program. So I would highly recommend, if that's something you need to do financially, thinking about finding a way to earn your money during the summers, so that you set yourself up for success to be able to fully participate if you take a BFA program. And if that's not a possibility, it might be something you want to reconsider. And I don't mean to be negative, but I think it's just a reality of how much time it requires. Your kids are spending more time in classes than if you did 2 full-time jobs.
I think for me, and I just want to talk to all the students who are not yet in college yet, it's like, you know, with your classes in high school, you have a math page and you finish it, it's finished. You turn it in, it's done, you move on. You have your science project, it's finished. You turn it in, it's done. When you are in a program for musical theater, the work is never done. So your brain doesn't get to stop and move on to the next thing because they're all connected, or they should be. So just, that was something for me as a person who likes to check things off a list. That was an adjustment for me, knowing that what I just completed was never really complete. I would continue working on it the whole time I was there, whether that was ballet or voice or a particular song or the interpretation of a particular song or a scene or a relationship with someone in my class, because they're constantly asking you to open up yourself and put yourself there, and you're never finished, right? So it's a very different world, and you just sort of have to go, okay.
Someone touched upon it earlier, but about the concept of connections. College, like anything in life, is about networking and the connections you make. I made the foolish mistake of assuming that because I spoke with the director of the program and I spoke with a couple of students, that everyone understood why I was there. I was there to study theater. When it came time for community service assignments, and counseling and career services had no idea where to put me, and no suggestions to provide. I live 30 minutes outside of Manhattan. How do you not have anything for me? How do you not have any ideas? So it was a good tool to learn very early on, not to assume that everyone else is going to provide for you. You've got to be resilient and do that research yourself. I was fortunate, Circle and the Square Theater School, they took me on as an intern for the summer. Like you said, summer work is everything. And I busted my butt between the theater and the school program itself. Didn't even know, but we had a college alum who was the stage manager at the theater at the time. But that's where the school kind of fell short, and unfortunately the department knew all of these things but didn't realize I was looking for that information. So ask questions.
It's a great comment. I just wanted to say that that is the big difference between these programs, be it a BFA or BA or whatever. It's the difference between college and high school. And it's what this business is. You have to be proactive if you want to be successful in this business. You can't wait for somebody to tell you how to do it or do it for you or connect you to this person. You have to really like make a plan for yourself. Okay, this semester, here are my personal goals, not your parents' goals for you, because now that phase is over. Now it's time for, here are my personal goals, and here's the things I'm going to achieve. I'm going to connect to these people, I'm going to do this show, I'm going to build this relationship with my professor. Office hours, office hours, office hours, office hours. Get to know your professors. If they get to know you as people, don't be intimidated by them. That's the other thing. In high school, the teachers have all this authority and they're like really tough. But in college, they want to help you. You have to kind of like let all that authority kind of stuff go. You have to listen to them and respect them, but like make friends with them, get to know them, see them as people to look up to that can help you.
Good answer. Before we move on to the last question, I want to touch on another thing too, especially when it comes to BFA degrees, and I'm sure a lot of you are probably going through this process now, is the audition process. Is getting prepared for auditions. Where do I pick for material? What's the right material? The honest answer is this, and I'm sure you would agree with me, is that there is no surefire song or monologue that will get you into every single program that you want. There is not a particular monologue that Juilliard is looking for or a song that Carnegie Mellon is looking for, and that's what will get you into that school. It's all about your confidence and presentation and all these other things that are into it, but it's all on you as a performer. I want to direct this to Kristy. Do you remember your audition for CCM? And can you talk about the preparation that you did to get ready for that? If you could also remember the material that you used to get through it.
Sure. I did Unusual Way from 9. I did Wherever He Ain't from Mac and Mabel. And I did a monologue from Love Letters.
Nice.
Shoes, I hate these shoes, something like that. I mean, so I just want to do a shout out to all the parents that are here, that paid the money, that brought your kids. Like, you rock. I just want you to know.
Yes.
I just want you to know. And I had those parents too, but I really had that mom who made an entire portfolio of photos of my shows and reviews. And I remember Richard Hess, who runs the acting department at CCM, who auditioned me. I auditioned in San Francisco for in front of a camera. He laughed, but he was like, "This is the sweetest thing I've ever seen. No one's ever brought me a portfolio of things like this before." So don't do that. I'm just saying. So my audition was literally, my mom took me to San Francisco. This was many of my auditions. I actually didn't travel for any of my auditions, and I don't know what it is now. We at my school accept video submissions as well. So I auditioned for a camera, I got interviewed, I sang my songs, I did a monologue, and yeah.
Did the process of auditions get easier the more you did, like in terms of like more schools you auditioned for, it got easier, or was it like the same amount of like stress and anxiety with every single one that you did?
You know, I did, because I did all of them, and some in groups, I'm sorry you guys, it was so long ago, like
That's
23 years ago. So I don't quite remember, but if I can can I speak to the other side of it, what I see on a daily basis? So first of all, does it get easier? No, I have been in New York City for 19 years. It never gets easier. You're still singing to a blank wall when you're supposed to be connecting to somebody for an audition. You're still going, I hope this pianist can play the music. You're still going, I hope I remember these lyrics. I hope I remember my storytelling. That, if it goes away, find something else to do. Because you should feel that way. You should feel like, oh, what am I doing? Why did I choose this career? Oh God, I suck. And then go and book it. What I will say is and this may be a later question, so tell me to pause,
Sure.
But, you know, I get asked a lot, well, what are the best songs and all of that to sing? I want to see you. I want to see what you do. I don't want to see you do Kristen Chenoweth doing My Philosophy. I want to see you. So what does that mean? I don't know, you gotta ask yourself that. But don't show me a character you can do. That I'm not interested in. That I'm gonna help you with, and the school's gonna help you with. I wanna see that at the very baseline, you understand the who, what, why, when, and where of a song and a monologue. And you can deliver that to me honestly. And I mean, you know, the given is that you're gonna sing it well if you're in musical theater. The variable is whether or not you're gonna act it well. Remember that. The best singer doesn't get the role. The best actor who also sings well gets it. So, I don't know, I've gone on a tangent.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, and the thing about auditions too, have any of you in here participated in unified auditions yet? Anybody knows that? You're basically going from room to room to room. So like, in this room is CCM, and that room is Carnegie Mellon, and over here is Penn State, and Michigan's down there, and you're literally going right down the line. What happens when I see a lot of students do this, because I participate in those auditions too, is based on the school that they're auditioning for, they tend to get themselves psyched up, or psyched out, I should say, and they start to kind of freak out in ways where it's like, okay, it's not that a big deal if I'm auditioning for that school, but all of a sudden I'm now in a room with, you know, CCM or Baldwin Wallace, and oh my God, this really counts now, and things like that. My best piece of advice for you when it comes to auditions, when I'm behind the table, when I'm recruiting for my programs, I'm looking for someone that is, you nailed it, confidence, knows exactly what they're talking about, just does a beautiful performance. Make it a reflex. Do it so much and repetition and practice so much that it doesn't matter who is literally sitting behind that table. You are ready to go and do that same audition no matter what setting you're in. Like, do not get yourself psyched out depending upon what school you're auditioning for. Chris, yeah, Kimberly, go ahead.
As a director, it's, you know, you want to be telling the story, like Kristy said. You want to know what your character wants in that song. So when you pick a song that you connect to. I really highly recommend in the months leading up to choosing your audition pieces, journaling, which I know like every high school teacher tells you, but it will help you realize which material suits you. So if you are going through some sort of personal issue, you're going to pick material that connects to that because you'll be able to show more of yourself to them. Like I said, they do not, like Kristy said, I said, they don't want you to be a cardboard cutout, or, you know, even later when you're auditioning in the business, they want to see who you are and what you bring that is uniquely you to the table. And that's why, like, even with Broadway, you will see replacements aren't cardboard cutouts of the person who came before them. They want somebody who brings something specific and unique to the role. Don't ever try to be somebody else. Bring yourself, and also please give yourself months to prepare for these auditions and rehearse daily. That's the only way you're going to be competitive with schools like CCM, Baldwin Wallace, Purchase, etc. Because it's a small percentage, and it's not to scare you. Let's just say, do your homework.
Absolutely. And before I get to my last question, I just want to add to that too. Don't ever assume, my biggest piece of advice for students that are looking to go into these auditions, don't ever assume that you are not what that school is looking for. Whether it is your gender, whether it is your size, whether it is your race. I will tell you from my experience in being in auditions, I don't care what you look like or who you are. If you walk into my audition room and freaking kill it, I'm going to talk to you, and most likely I'm going to admit you into my program, because I want phenomenal performers and a diverse range, and I know most schools do. So don't ever, if any of you are in this room saying, you know, oh gosh, you know, Carnegie Mellon's not going to want my type. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, go in there with swagger, and I guarantee you, if you do it, give it everything you've got, those schools are going to want to talk to you. So don't ever get discouraged about that.
And they don't know what they want.
Exactly. Exactly.
They're waiting for you to show them.
That actually segues into my last question before I kind of turn it over to Q&A with you guys, is what would, for a student here that might be thinking, BA, BFA, should I even major in theater at all, what would be your biggest advice for them? Let me start out the opposite order. So I'll start with Morgan. I'm going to put you on the spot. What would be your biggest piece of advice there?
Don't be afraid to think outside of the box. I went into my entire life thinking theater, 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 theater. And I know we said before, don't have a fallback in your head, because then you could potentially fall back on it. I didn't have a fallback in my head. I accidentally got into sales. I ran into a woman at an audition who said, "What are you doing for money nowadays?" And I said, "Well, what do you got?" It led me to a 2-year position with a sales company that was completely flexible, allowed me to go on auditions when I needed to audition. I booked a show. I left for months and did the show. I came back, I had a job. I'm still in sales today in a full-time role. I'm now selling wine for a living. I roll around the street and I have accounts that are in the theater district and I'm going on auditions still. So I hate to think of it as a fallback, but don't close yourself out to other opportunities. Someone also touched upon before, people thinking that theater people are not smart enough. You're actually really smart.
Really smart.
Really, really smart. I think of my job in sales as an extension of being an actor every single day. You know how to read people. You read an audience every single time you go on stage. So, professionally speaking, that is going to open up so many doors for you. You will be able to cater and tailor every interview you go on professionally because you've already done it for auditions. That's my advice.
This might be a tad controversial, but I stated it when I first spoke, and that is, I've never been asked for my degree. 11 people in my graduating class at CCM. I know 3 of them never fully graduated. They don't have their degrees. I mean, they are a few hours away, but, and they've worked multiple times on Broadway. My feeling is, you know, and I'm saying this not to sell my program, but I spend all my day in it, so it's what I believe in. A conservatory style that we do everything that another school does in 4 years. We just cut out all the fat. So it's a 2-year program. It's singing, dancing, acting all day, every day, lots of performance opportunities, but we don't have a football team, and we don't have that camaraderie necessarily with the rest of the school, and you're not getting different perspectives, but it's streamlined. I think you just have to talk with your family, and you have to talk with yourself and see what it is. If you really, 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 really cannot think of anything other than being on Broadway, if my kid came to me and said that, I would say, let's do a New York City conservatory style program so you can just go. You can always go back to school. That's me. That might not be you, and that is totally fine. There are benefits to both, and I think you just have to weigh that, because again, I've never had to show my degree. Am I a better person for spending 4 years and trying out a sorority and being there with a football team? I'll never know. Who knows? Because I didn't have the other experience. You just have to really think about what you want and where you see yourself.
I think that's a great answer, and I just want to piggyback off of it. Yeah, anything that I've done, and I've kind of done the other side too, because I really only continued acting for several years after school, even though I had all this training. I ran an off-Broadway theater for 5 years. I produce and I direct, and so I think the education, because I got liberal arts education as well. I think that education informs my directing every day. So I think there's value in that. I also really would encourage you not to go into deep debt, because it's very hard to pay off college loans in this industry, because you're, you know, sometimes living paycheck to paycheck, many times. And so I would say, actually, I think a lot of young people aren't ready or can't possibly know what they want at 17, so don't put yourself in $45,000 a year of debt, would be my best advice. If you think you want to be a Broadway star and that's what you want to do, maybe a conservatory for 2 years is a really great idea, and then see about college, or a junior college, and see, and like do some training while you're doing that, you know, part-time junior college, part-time this, which is not an answer you're going to hear from people, and it has nothing to do with how smart you are. It's like, how deep a hole do you want to dig yourself into? This country has a real problem with it. There was a big article about directors who graduate from Harvard and Yale and all, and you know, like Carnegie Mellon, these top directing programs, and then they're working in food service because they can't pay their student loans every month. So you can look that up. It was in the Times last year. But like, it's a real concern. So really think about like, what road do you want to take, and what do you value? Is it getting a 4-year education? Is it getting professional trainings because all you can see yourself doing is being an actor? Or is it, I'm not sure yet, and I kind of need to test drive a few things, and maybe I don't need to rack up $90,000 the first 2 years test driving a few things. If you're fortunate enough that you can fully pay for school without taking on student debt, that's one thing. I am still paying my student debt from my bachelor's degree. So, and I will for many years to come, even though I've had success. So I think that's really something to take on. And the worst moment I had in my adult life was when I had a student loan officer call me and say, well, your monthly payment is $850. And I was like, I'm in New York. I have to pay my rent, I have to pay my cell phone, I have to pay all these other things. I'm running around working. I was teaching acting at 14 places, and I still couldn't pay my student loan. It was like one of the worst moments in my adult life. So it's a real thing. Think about the burden that you're putting on yourself. You don't know what that is like when you're 20, but it's a real pressure. So you want to think, do I want to do that to myself?
Totally. And just to piggyback off that too, trust your gut. Trust your gut in terms of who you are as a performer and what you want out of a program. I guarantee you, no matter what type of performer or designer that you are, there's a program out there for you. Whether you want to work in film, television, rather than the stage, there's a program out there for you. So if you identify what you want, go with your gut, and I guarantee you there's going to be a college program out there that will definitely suit your need. And then, of course, use websites like OnStage Blog to help you find them.